asked any questions. You can sit down with dignity and be served food by others with dignity, and it's a really good, healthy, hearty, wholesome meal. There are amazing farmers within 100 or so kilometers of Toronto who love the stop as well. Musicians, chefs, and all support what the stop does. But these farmers will bring some of their produce weekly to the Community Food Centres Canada. The New Farm up in Creemore, which is an amazing organization, takes some of their produce, gives it to the Stop Community Food Centre, and then also gives it to other retailers in the city to sell, and a portion of that profit from that sale goes to fund Stop as well. When you're having that meal, you might be sitting across from someone from another ethnicity. You might exchange stories, you might exchange recipes. You can learn how to cook with very, very simple but healthy or wholesome ingredients at a community food center. So there's cooking classes. There might be perinatal to help those. There might be landlord-tenant issues to deal with and to learn about, how to self-advocate. So they're really rich, meaningful, powerful organizations, and it's, as I said, meant a lot to Chris and I. We love what they've done. We've been with them for a number of years, to the point where, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things Chris focuses on is our day-to-day operations. I couldn't. I'm ADHD all over the place. The business would be an utter mess right now. So Chris doing that gives me the chance to do some other interesting, different, fun things. One of the things I do is I sit on the National Advisory Council for Community Food Centres Canada. And I was sitting in a meeting last November, and there were 8 of us around the table, and we were tasked with how are we going to tell the story about CFCC, and it sounds like some Soviet, but what does it mean, and what it's all about, and can we raise some money for it? And I'd always thought that maybe doing a book of some sort, helping aspiring entrepreneurs. We've mentored about 200, Chris and I, over the last number of years, new local aspiring entrepreneurs, predominantly in the food world. I thought kind of cool to intersperse some of the stories or tell some of those stories around an educational book. But it didn't come to be. David Chilton, the wealthy barber's friend, he just said, "Petey, no, don't come into my world. I'll annihilate you." He said, "No, just not a great idea." And so the light went off that day in the meeting. There were people sitting around that table who are connected to a whole lot of people who have a whole lot of wealth in the city. I don't have those connections. Some of them were able to say, "I can ask so-and-so to write a check for $100 grand." Someone said, I'll give $1 million a year for the next 5 years. I'm sitting there, I don't look the best. So I thought, I'm going to do a book. And I'll, as soon as I got back and told Chris, he says, "Yeah, let's do that. Let's develop a book." And the book, over the course of noodling around the idea for a month or so, we came up with the idea of finding 37 different personalities from across Canada. A lot of these chefs are in it as well, so we bring some star power to the book. But we've also tried really hard to represent individuals across Canada who represent geographic, regional diversity, ethnic diversity, gender, etc., etc. And so someone like Sarah Harmer, musicians in there, and a top chef like Vikram Vij is in there. But then we've also got some complete unknowns who are working in these community food centers across Canada, who are giving incredible amount of their passion and life towards goodness in their communities, and we thought we'd tell their stories too. So there's 37 really great individuals right across Canada in the book, and the story of what they're doing in their communities to help inspire, and then also 2 recipes. So as I said, one of the recipes that we've done tonight, the halibut crunch, is in that book. How's my time? Do I get a book? Is it all burning? Thank you.
So just to touch a little bit more on the book, the book's really all about 2 things. The book is called Goodness. And goodness is what happens when people get together around food. And whether it's every night at your dining room table with your kids, asking them how their day was, and that can be good and they're gone, or sometimes that can escalate. That can be with friends and neighbors and solving the world's problems. And it's our belief that we grew up, first of all, in a family where we did that. We got together nightly as a family and talked. And we certainly try to do that, make every effort to do that ourselves. And the other thing the book is about scale. It's about the scale to give. And while we're certainly centered around food, I think you can take this to everyday life, and whether it's supporting a child in another country or giving to United Way. If somebody doesn't give $10, somebody needs to give $10. Somebody needs to give $100 and somebody needs to give $1 million. Of course, there's only a few people in our community who can give at those different levels, certainly at the high levels. But if everybody kicked in their pocket and gave a little, whether that's money or that's spending a couple hours at the local food bank or helping to prepare a hot meal on a cold night or welcoming homeless people into a church on a night that's frigid, all that helps build community. And we're big believers in that. Of course, as Peter said, we're centered around food. But back to his point about the book, there are people in there that own very successful large companies. There are very prominent chefs like Mr. Vikram Vij, who's a very good friend of ours. And there are also